Hello, I'm Erika Nizborski, your host for Behind the Lens. On our program, we talk with noted photographers about their work. And today, I'm pleased to have as my guest, Anna Bruce. Welcome to Behind the Lens.
Thank you, Erika. I'm excited to be here today.
Photography has always been a part of Anna Bruce's life. Born in Caracas, Venezuela, she was given her first camera at the age of 5. But developing film in Venezuela was very expensive, so when she would take photos, she wouldn't always have them developed. At that time, she became intrigued by images that had the subject in focus and the background out of focus. At the age of 14, she left the country to live with her aunt and uncle, but didn't really have the opportunity to say goodbye to her friends and family. This had a deep impact on her and is perhaps the reason why she has always wanted to document every moment of her life. It wasn't until Anna was a senior in high school that she considered taking photographs as anything more than just something she did to remember her life. But then she enrolled in a basic photography course and excelled, taking photographs of people and experimenting with lighting. A conversation with her brother just before she was about to start college changed her mind from pursuing a degree in psychology to pursuing one in art. After graduation, Anna didn't touch her big camera for about 3 years. She worked on commercial jobs with another photographer, but didn't really create any artistic work for herself at the time. Then, when she was married in 2010, one of her best friends was there to help celebrate the moment. When Anna saw her friend's photos, she was inspired to pick up her big camera and take photographs again. Before we take a look at your work, I wanted to ask you about Venezuela. You spent your earliest years in another country and another culture. Has that affected your photography at all?
Well, absolutely. I wouldn't say that it's affected my style because I didn't really have a style. I didn't know anything about photography, but it definitely encouraged me to document my life and to take pictures. So yeah, it has affected me.
And when you're not doing commercial work, what do you like to shoot?
My husband and my cats, but of course I love to take pictures of people. That's what I do, and that's where I feel most fulfilled.
And whose photographs inspire you?
Oh my gosh, the list is endless. You should see my blog. But if I had to narrow it down to 3 photographers, first would be Sue Bryce, who I recently found through something called Creative Live. She is the most charismatic person that I've met. She's an incredible business person, and she takes unbelievable portraits. I'm addicted to her. Next is Jasmine Starr, who's a California photographer, a wedding photographer. She just has an incredible style about her. She's a really awesome person. And third, Zach Arias, who's a Georgia studio portrait photographer. His photography is really what inspired me to do more studio portraits. I learned that you could take more creative photos instead of the regular standard lighting that they teach you in studio. So I started to look at it more as a creative means more than just post studio.
And you've brought some of your own photographs with you today. Let's take a look at them.
Sure.
Your first photo that we have here is from college.
Yes.
It's your only photo you brought with you shot on film. That's correct?
That is correct. It's the only film image that I have. It's called I Think We Have a Spy. I feel like I have somewhat of a humorous approach to myself. I really wanted to create something funny for my final. So I thought it'd be cute to play with a chess set and put a little pawn from the other side of the team, kind of pretending like he was a spy.
It's very cute. And moving to the next photo, we have a roller derby photo. It looks like she's playing roller derby, but she's in a studio. What inspired you to take this photo?
Well, I was hired by her to take some photos. It was really for her headshot, and then it just became a full-blown session. I'd never done a roller derby session before, so I really wanted to incorporate her and like the sport into the images, even though it's studio. So after a while, I looked at her and I said, okay, well, what are some of the things that you do in derby? Like some of the signs when you're going, like tell me about what you do. And she did the pointing thing. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do that. Just hold the pose. And so we shot that, and it was a really, really great, fun moment.
Yeah, it took an image that could have been very static and made it dynamic. It's very nice. Moving on to the next photo, which is a nice full-length portrait of her. Why did you choose to make this black and white?
That's a really great question. The actual image itself, I wanted to kind of make her look intimidating. Like, you know,
So you got down low and shot up?
Yeah, shot up. Color, I mean, black and white. Well, I love black and white, and it eliminated the colors of her hair, the colors of her clothes, and just made it about her and that kind of really intimidating look that she's got.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to mess with her.
No.
She's hardcore. She's awesome.
And then moving from an image with not much color in it at all to this very colorful portrait. Her name's Connie.
Yes.
How did you get inspired to shoot with these colors?
Well, you're going to see a lot of Connie in this, in all these images, but she's a vocalist, and her husband's a electronic EDM, electronic dance music DJ. So she's just, her personality is very colorful. So I really wanted to incorporate her into the images, and so when I shot them very high key, very contrasty, because I really wanted it to be about her personality.
Mm-hmm. And the next photo of her is a nice side view, and you get to see some color in her hair and the hot pink fishnet on her hand. How did you set this shot up?
I didn't. I mean, a lot of my images are really my clients doing something that I see that I'm like, oh, wait, you just did something. I need to shoot that, because I see an angle or just the way that the light is hitting her. I think she was just really scratching her chin. I'm like, wait, I like it. I'm going to shoot it from this angle. So I cropped it in really close. I really like cropped portraits, and I ended up shooting it that way. The light was coming from behind, so there's a little bit of light kind of shining on this side of the face.
So you cropped it after the fact. Do you find that you shoot wide and then go in and crop later, or is it different every time? Or
I shoot very cropped. It's funny. It's something that I learned in my photography class. My teacher taught me how to be very cropped with my images, compose in camera, which is a good and not so good thing, because in prints, if you have a full frame camera and you do like a 8x10, it ends up cutting out parts of the person. So sometimes when I'm shooting weddings, I have to think about that.
Right. So sometimes you want to back up and take more and allow for editing.
Yes.
So do you find that you mostly just talk to your clients when they're in the studio? Like in the next image, we have her sitting down. She's got her microphone. Are you just having a conversation with them?
Well, when I'm doing shoots, I'm really, really silly, and I make fun of myself, and I try to make my clients laugh. We talk a lot. It's never that awkward silence. I generally have an idea for how the shoot is going to go, poses, take it from one thing to the other. There's always a lot of things that are unexpected, which ends up being why the shoot is so great. I had her sitting down because I was tired of standing. And I'm like, okay, we need to shoot at a different angle. I had her husband bring the microphone because she's a vocalist. I'm like, well, we need to get the microphone in there.
Yeah.
So I had her on the floor, just posing like that, and I just really liked the line of her body with the microphone.
It's nice. And then you have a totally different angle where you're shooting from above. How did you come about this? Was this during the same session, or was this a different session?
It was the same session. It was right after break when I switched the backdrops from white to black. And again, it was just one of those things that happened. She was kind of playing with her hair. I'm like, hold that. Do this with your hair. And I was shooting down because, again, it was time to change. I was bored of this. I'm like, shoot down. So at that point, I had stood on my ladder and was shooting down at her and had her ruffling her hair.
And then again, we took a very colorful image. And the next one we have Connie in black and white. Why did this feel black and white to you?
There was a sense of drama to this image. She was looking, it was weird. She was looking at the light source, but there was no reflection on the glasses. I just remember looking at it in Lightroom and saying, man, this is a black and white. Like, let's get rid of the color and just focus on what's going on with the lines of her face and the lines of her body, just kind of looking away.
It's more dramatic.
I thought, dramatic.
It's nice, and you have a good mixture of verticals and horizontals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like shooting a lot of horizontals, though. That's my favorite when shooting, but I try to mix them up if I can.
Your next image is called The Octopus. What's going on here? Another studio shoot?
Yes. Another studio shoot. This is LJ and Robert, and they together are The Octopus. They're a DJ duo, and they came to me for some promo photos for their website and potential albums. And of course, I love these guys, so I was like, yes, I'm going to do your shoot. And man, we just had a great time.
And then we have Connie and LJ, another horizontal shot where he's pointing at the camera. What did you use this photo for?
Well, this is part of the Connie shoot, the last series. There's a lot of Connie photos, but she's a huge part of my portfolio. LJ, when he spins, he's a DJ, DC DJ, and he always does this to the crowd, and he has tattoos that say LJ. And so I really wanted to incorporate some of his signature poses into the photographs. And of course, Connie's sitting there like, what's going on here? It's about me.
Yeah.
But it was just a really great shot of them. It was very casual, very...
Bringing their
really
personality into the shot. And then we leave the studio.
Yes.
Here we are, some of your wedding photography. Very bright, very saturated. Did you provide the props for this?
I provided some of the props for them, like the Just Married sign. Again, it's Denise and LJ, or Connie and LJ. They got married, so total awesome musical duo. Their wedding was very music themed, very colorful to match their personalities. So their cool sunglasses play off the colors of their wedding. And so I really wanted to incorporate them in this shot and kind of give it attitude, that LJ and Denise attitude, which is so awesome about them, to make this really cool wedding shot for them.
Do you find as a wedding photographer that you help come up with some ideas for some of the shots, or do you find that a lot of the clients will come to you with very set ideas?
It depends on the client. A lot of clients want certain things, like they see certain images and they give me a shot list, which is totally fine. It is their wedding, and I do want to incorporate some of their taste into it. But I try to get to know them and their personality. I feel that's a huge part of my photography, is just incorporating personalities. So I try to do that into the wedding photography. It's all about like incorporating them and like their poses and their ideas, but as well as my artistic eye. I feel that's why they went with me.
And as you get to know them, you know what would bring more out in the photo. Right. Of them. And in the next photo, we have another black and white, color to black and white. Again, makes it more dramatic. Yeah. Especially with her pose. Did this just happen, or did you come up with the idea? This
was on my shot list because I know Connie, or Denise. Connie is her stage name. I know her. She's very sassy. She's totally awesome. She's it was her day, and she had the blue in her hair and all this color. But I really wanted it to be about the two individuals and not about the colors anymore of their personalities. I really wanted her to be kind of diva-esque while LJ sitting there in the back looking at her. Kind of very, something that you'd see on a CD cover, minus the wedding clothes, of course, but that kind of pose.
Well, it works. And then we're back in the studio.
Yes.
This image of Kristen.
Yes.
What kind of shoot was this?
Kristen is a really good friend of mine. She has the most vibrant personality I've ever seen in someone. She loves dance music. She loves all these cartoon characters. This photo specifically was modeled after a Zach Arias photo that I saw that inspired me. His photo was more of a fashion composed image. This one, I really wanted to play off of Kristen's personality, but with the same style of lighting that he had. It was something that I wanted to recreate. So I bought a shower curtain that was zebra print that I felt was very much Kristen. And I used that as a backdrop, along with her fuzzy hat and her very colorful nerd shirt. And I was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And so I posed her, and it just came out really awesome.
Yeah. And what kind of lenses do you use when you shoot? Are you using more prime lenses? Do you use zoom lenses?
That's a great question. The only prime lens that I use is my 50. It's the one that I could afford, and it's a great lens. It doesn't have a whole lot of distortion to it. I started using that a lot in studio because I like the short depth of field, but then I started shooting with the 80 to 200, and I no longer needed a 2.8 or a 1.4 or whatnot. I started shooting at f9. Using that really zoomy lens, which still creates a great level of that out of focus, but still having all the right things in focus.